Welcome everybody. Welcome by a new webinar of us. We have to show you something new, something cool, and we are really excited of this webinar. It's a webinar about boost your Revit MEP workflows. So sit well and enjoy this webinar. But before we start, we have some house rules. I think you're already muted, but stay it like that. In the end, we have an option to unmute and to have your questions. If you have your questions in between, you can also open the Q&A panel and we will try to answer your questions as good as we want. This webinar is recorded, so after this webinar, you can also watch it back or send it to your colleagues. And after this webinar, we will really appreciate it if you fill in the survey. We have a lot to tell you. First, a short introduction about NTI, what we do, why NTI for Revit MEP. Then we will tell you something about the challenges in the MEP workflows in Revit, what we heard from our clients. And then we try to solve the challenges with the demonstrations of NTI for Revit MEP. And what I tell you before, we have a Q&A and a survey in the end. For people who don't know me, my name is Chris van der Vluit. I'm pre-sales consultant based in the Netherlands, and I have a background in ERP consulting and a bachelor in architecture technology and construction management. I don't do it by myself. I do it with my lovely colleague, Andreas. Maybe you can introduce yourself as well.
Thank you, Chris. Yeah, my name is Andreas. I am our product manager at NTI. I have the overall responsibility for our own developed products within the building industry. And I have been at NTI for 4 years now, and I'm excited to take you through some of the technical stuff. But for now, Chris will give you an intro.
Yeah, before we start, people that don't know us, we are a leading full service supplier of digital solutions, not only in the MEP, but also in the construction, designing and manufacturing, and even in the media and entertainment. We are platinum reseller of Autodesk. What I say, I'm from the Netherlands, Andreas is from Denmark, but we are based in 14 countries, not only in Europe, but also in Brazil. And we have over 900 professionals. So if we don't know it in the Netherlands or in Denmark, we can always ask our colleagues in different countries all over the world. Yeah, we help clients, even if you are with one employer or with 1,000 employees, no challenge is too small for us and no challenge is too big. And we have many loyal customers that stay with us for a long time. While they are evolving and they are growing, we help them with that strategic solutions. That's about us. Then we start with the NTI for Revit. People that know us, that know that we already have an NTI for Revit solutions. Why do we have that? We have that already for a long time, more than 15 years. And because we saw some problems in Revit, maybe some functions that aren't in Revit, or maybe some functions that people are struggling in Revit, and then we try to create a full set of tools that help to streamline that customers in their Revit workflows. So we try to automate the manually workflows and optimize data quality and try to save time for our clients. How do we do that? We do that with the two different solutions. On the left side, you see NTI Co-Managed. That's BIM data solutions that we can visualize, change, so edit data, but also check and validate data in one cloud platform. And on the right side, you see NTI for Revit. It's a toolbar on top of a Revit. We have something cool to tell you because NTI for Revit is already a known product, but we have something. We did something. We split it up in different modules, and at the moment we have released two products. That's the MEP and the structural solutions. Why did we do that? That was because we tried to focusing on the specific discipline to try to help them out. NTI for Revit was a tool set full of functions, more than 100 functions. It was for every discipline. So even for the general functions, also for the MEP, also for the structural, also for the architect. So it was a full work set of tools. And now we try to focusing on the specific discipline. So maybe you don't need to general solutions, you just need the MEP. So you can only buy the MEP, for example, that help you out. There are many more to come. So at the moment we have released MEP and structural, but there are many more to come. For people that already used NTI for Revit, don't worry. The NTI for Revit solutions will, the original NTI for Revit solutions will remain supported and also maintenance for years. So even for NTI or for Revit 2027, 28, don't worry about it. You can still use NTI for Revit. But then we have a new solutions for the structural, for MEP, and there are many more to come. But let's focusing on the NTI for Revit. That's why you are here. So NTI MEP is a solution to calculate faster, to coordinate earlier, and to deliver better in your projects. First, we will start with a video. So,
designing HVAC systems in Revit shouldn't be tedious. Engineers often waste hours on manual calculations and late-stage coordination. NTI for Revit MEP solves this by automating everyday tasks, like airflow calculations, heating loads, and duct coordination, directly inside Autodesk Revit. Key benefits are save time, automate repetitive manual work, and focus on engineering. Reduce errors, streamline workflows to minimize clarification requests and change orders. Immediate impact. An intuitive interface ensures your team gets value from day one. Work smarter, reduce rework, and deliver higher quality HVAC designs faster with NTI for Revit MEP.
so now the floor is yours, Andreas.
Thank you, Chris. Yeah, and again, I also want to say welcome everybody. I will now take you through a more technical part of this, and I will go deep dive into some of the functionality that we now have in this new product. First of all, I want to address that we are of course doing this development to solve some of the challenges you have today. I can sort of group them in three categories. We have in many scenarios, very poor MEP coordination in many projects. And mostly that is because that we haven't had the coordination between the different disciplines early on. We don't know if there's space enough to actually deliver the amount of airflow that is needed throughout the project and throughout the building. So we need to find a way to sort of handle this and give you the tools so maybe you are able to coordinate earlier and make sure there is the room needed. The other topic we will address is these manual calculations that you often probably see today in your building projects. Often these calculations is done in external spreadsheets and then maybe imported in back to the model, and there is a high risk of loss of information and also a miscommunication. Lastly, we have the more lack of model insight. We know that there is limitations today in Revit regarding getting this information out and get it assigned to the right elements. And for that, we also have done a couple of functionality that will help you make sure that your elements is enriched. I will go through features by feature, and I will sort of address where we see this having the most benefit regarding in the different building process and how they are aligned. First of all, we will start out with the sketch routing. This is a tool for the early start of the project. We need to make sure that we have the right space needed over our ceilings, for example, or throughout the construction, so we make sure that we don't have clashes that is sort of found way too late in the project. So some of the typical challenges you have is that you often are doing this drawing of maybe main ducts way too early for making sure that there is the space, but these ducts have continuously to be evaluated and replaced. And this is where we actually have tools that will help you with this. So again, I will show you a video now where I will sort of take you through it. So first of all, let's go into Revit. So in here you have Revit, and on the top you're now able to see that you have the new tools in our toolbar. First of all, we will do the sketch routing as mentioned before. When I click the button, you see this panel on the right where we have the option to do different kind of routing. Right now I'll do the main ducts, and I'll start with the shaft. Again, the shaft is many projects a critical point because we don't have enough space. In here you can see now I have placed this mass, and in this mass I can sort of assign the different kind of ducts I want to have placed in it, and you can also align them. You can see I have a supply and I have a return air. Underneath I have sizing methods. We know that there is different ways to calculate these sort of demands for how you're going to calculate the size of these ducts. There is velocity, there is friction, and there are some diversity factors you could take into account. So again, we need to make sure that we have the right sizes to deliver the right amount of airflow. You can of course create your own, and you can of course edit those that are already placed in the product. We have the dimensions and we have the insulation types as well. We know also there often the insulation maybe isn't taken into account early enough, and they also need a lot of space. So in here you can make sure you have created the right insulation, and again you can add even more. At last we have the clearance. So again we want to make sure that it's actually put clearance around the ducts. Again, a topic that maybe often is forgotten. But I just placed a mass in the model. Now I need to, of course, model it so we have it in the model, so we can use it for maybe clashes. So now I'm sort of modeling this mass so it fits. I'm gonna split it in two for the different two floors. So, and again, because I already know that it will, of course, be used different sizes for the two floors. So again, I can do a copy paste here, and now I have done one for the upper floor. And again, I'm just doing some small configurations of it. Good. So when we now are going to the floor plans instead to start modeling the sort of main ducts we have around there. So again, I'm doing a distribution ducts right now instead of the main ducts, and I'm doing them horizontally. I want to create that one, and I'm going to place it like the other one. Again, it's just a mass that afterwards can sort of fit and change in size. There's the same configuration as you saw before, and I can sort of make sure that it fits the needs for these kind of ducts. Now, as you see the magic, I just jumped a bit, and now you see I have modeled the ducts throughout the ground floor. Again, just the main ones. Of course, I know there will be additional ones made when we go further in the project. I'll just copy paste those to the first floor, and then we'll make sure we have the right elevation. Then I will again create a new one to make sure we also deliver some air to the canteen, and again I'll just do the shifting and use space for what to call it, rotating this mass. Good. So now I make sure that we have the right elevation, and so now we can go to 3D, and we can see this mass. So if I go down here, you can see now I go up to the 3D, and now we can see the masses in 3D without the arc model. This gave us a good idea of, again, the main routing we have. And again, in here, we can sort of course, also get this easy access to the different ducts and masses we have drawn. These ducts and masses can, of course, be used for early collision controlling as well. Good. So that was the first one. So now we have sort of assigned and make sure we are placed around the building where we need space for these docks. Now I'm going to take you on to the next step. So again, this regarding that we have a lot of external spreadsheets today to calculate the airflow is a big opportunity for misalignment of the calculations, because the model continuously updates. And again, it is very time consuming, just importing, exporting, or exporting, importing. So we want to do it inside inside Revit instead. So let's go through it. So we go to the menu again, and on the top you see this airflow functionality. When I click it, we see this overview of all the spaces that are in the model. None of the spaces have assigned any airflow right now. I also, of course, have some functionality by sorting and filtering by level to get this needed overview. But we need to do some templates. We need to do some kind of overview of the different kind of air changes we need for the different kind of spaces we have. So already I have in the model created one for office, meeting room, VC, canteen, and so I have just put in an air change, as you can see in the fourth choice. But let's just create one more. In this project, we also have a room for seminars. So we create a new template and we can give it a name, seminar, and say okay. Again, we can go into fixed airflow and we can type in the different kind of calculation method we want to use. We can use all of them, and then it will be the maximum calculated value that will be assigned to the space. Right now, I'm just doing a pretty simple one, I know, but again, there is the flexibility for you to actually put in numbers in all of those. Now we're going to assign the different templates to different spaces. So again, it's just multi-clicking, selecting, and then go through it one by one. It doesn't take that much time, again, because I have already sorted by space name, so they are already grouped. So I can sort of go through them each by each. As you can see on the bottom right, you can see there is a total return air and total supply air, and there is a sum in the bottom. So I can actually continuously see what is the amount of airflow needed to deliver the needed air change for all of these kind of different rooms. Some of them I jump over, but I think you get the idea. So now they're already all added, and those calculations are based on the volume. So if the volume changes, then I can easily go in here and update the calculation. I can see that the VC doesn't nowhere deliver not enough air change, so I change that. So I can change to 56. I can still let the other one stay, as I said before, but now you can see that it's updated. So now it's the fixed air change instead. Again, this is all the flexibility you have regarding this tool. So now all this air change is written to the spaces. As you can see, now I'm going down here and you see this specific one have needed air supply of 150. Good. So now we have sort of doing the masses of the routing. We have calculated the needed air change or needed airflow. So now we of course want to create a link between this airflow and the docks, so we get the right sizing of them. So let's try to see how that looks. So if we go back to the model and we have these masses as we draw before, we now go into the ground plan and we select one of these masses. And then if we go into the toolbar again and we press the sketch round, we can see it automatically finds it. Then if you go down to the bottom, we have this add space opportunity. And I know this one need to supply the whole ground floor with airflow. So I'm going to the filter by level, pressing the ground floor, selecting all the spaces, and same close. As you can see on the right now, you can see a lot of red text. And that is because it doesn't comply with the demands I set for the calculation rule, as I showed you earlier on. So the sizes that I have drawn right now isn't sufficient to be within this threshold. So now I can even press the automate calculation regarding the sizing, you can see on the right, or I can go through it saying, okay, if I change the height to 400 instead and I change the width, you can see it updates down on the bottom. We're not there, but now we are. So now we have the right size that actually are able to deliver the airflow that needed in this ground flow. I can copy paste the spaces into the return area as well and do the same modification there. So now we know that we need a much more space than maybe earlier anticipated. And you can see the masses also changes in size. So now we can go through that and we can do it again throughout the different kind of masses we have. If we gonna say we have another one, now we have this one, I automatically just did that with movie clip. But if we take that one and we say that is only for the west wing, then in this add space we have this second model, because again this is more locally based. So in there I'm just using this method to choose all these spaces, and as you can see down there, again as you saw before, we now have assigned all of these spaces to these ducts. And I just do it again for the return area, so I have the same size. Then I can do the modification, make sure it fits, and now we actually are able to see if we have the right spaces, and we can use this for collision controlling to make sure we don't have any unforeseen challenges. But often you see that there is a lot of changes in the architect model when you're doing the MEP. And these changes can be very troublesome if you aren't aware of them, because maybe you'll suddenly see a space changing from maybe being an office to be a meeting room instead. It can also be just the sizing of the spaces that are suddenly changed. So the calculation has to be updated. But in many scenarios, these changes aren't focused on and are not talked about enough, so maybe you don't see them. And that is where we actually done some functionality that helps you get this overview and helps you update the values. So in this scenario, the architect have done some changes to the model. I have used the update space name and number. So if we go into the ground floor again, and now we're pressing the airflow. Now I'm going into the space naming, of course, and doing the updates of the naming and number. And we can see actually we have down there now a room that was before office, now is a meeting. So you can see in here we have some red icons showing that something has changed. You can see that one, and you can see the description on the right. The space name has changed from office to meeting. Okay, then I know I have to change the template for that specific space. I can accept the changes, and then I will go in and change it. So now it's meeting room, and we know the meeting room needs more air than maybe the office does, so it's updating the calculation. We can down see here there have been some internal wall that have been moved. So one space has gotten bigger and one got smaller. Again, this is explained to the user, so you know what have happened. As before, you are also able to do in here to sort of accept this change. And that is because again, you sort of have to know what is happening and not something just done automatically. But as you can see, the calculations is now updated. So I can save it, and now we will have updated the needed the airflow for these spaces. So if we press the save button and we close it, and we go into the ground floor, and because we already have assigned these spaces to the ducts, we can just take an example in here and can check. Now we can actually see that we don't completely comply with the threshold, but in this scenario we will let it be. But this is again so important that we have this awareness. Lastly, we of course need to create some ducts. Now we have maybe are in the later stage of the project, and we are in the stage where we think it makes sense to start out actually doing the more detailed ducting or detailed routing. So there we also have some functionality to help you with that. These masses is clever, or what you should say, they are able to sort of actually create the specific ducts that you have configured. So as you also can see, the masses have different sizes, and that's because I have run through the model and make sure that they can deliver the right amount. And now I just press the create route elements, and now we actually have all the rectangular routing. It could also be circular, of course, but in this project I've only used rectangular. Now I need to sort of do the detailing, so I need to connect the ducts and making sure I use the right elbows and so on. But again, now we are in that stage of the project where it makes sense. Then I have another feature that is not so linked to the duct and the airflow calculation, but also sort of a needed calculation that is often done in spreadsheets today, and that is regarding heating. So the heating calculation is often based on the square meters of the spaces, or maybe it should be. So we also have this sort of simple tool where we have the same list of spaces as you saw before. Then we have the same concept of templates, and in here we can do all these different templates for the different kind of heating loads we need to deliver. So I'm gonna do a template for each floor because I know there is a greater heat loss on the floor next to the roof, and I know there is a different heat loss in the basement. So I'm doing this sort of simple categorizing of the different calculations. So now we're going to do this, and now they're all set up. Good. And let's say we go with 3 watts per square meter. And as you saw before, we can now filter by basement and easily assign that template to all of the spaces that are on the basement. And this doesn't take long. And again, this enables us to easily update these calculations. And we have the sum, as you saw before, of the needed amount of effect needed. Lastly, I have 2 more features I want to show you. I know they are more in the third area, or the third category, where we are talking about how actually to get these components that we have in the model enriched with needed information. We have this cool tool called mass relation, where I will go through how you actually are able to write information from a mass to the components in the model. And this is often used in the more localization-based information. So maybe if you have 4D BIM and you need to do some scheduling of when you are on the site, Good. So if you do the demo of that, and in here we have a mass. It can also just be a mass from a link file. Right now, I'm just showing you when the mass is in the model. We have this dialog showing where you're able to configure how it should calculate. So I can select the category on the left. I can do by project or by view or by selection. in this scenario, just doing a simple one. So we're choosing the air terminals. We are choosing that the mass 1 is the one we want to have information from. We are selecting which parameter from that mass we want information from, and which parameter on the category that we want the information written to. I can add multiple mappings if I want, and I can also keep the elements intact if I want that, or I can actually split them if it's stocks or pipes or so on. So I can split it by mass. I have to run the feature, and I've go down to the model now. We can see that if we take an air terminal and go down to the comments, you can see now it's called West Wing. And if I go into 3D, just to show you that actually that was also the information that was on the mass. So again, this is an easy way to get information written to the elements, and there is a lot of different use cases where this will make sense. Lastly, I have the space data to accessories. Often you are not able, or Revit is not sufficient enough to actually write this information of which spaces the different components actually are placed on. I know that you can maybe move a location point and so on to utilize Revit built-in functionality, but in many scenarios, maybe you have sockets placed on the concrete above the ceiling, or you can have convectors in the ground, in the floor, and so on. So components that are not actually placed within the space boundaries. So where Revit's default functionality isn't enough. So if we go through this, we can see again sort of the same procedure as we just saw before, the same kind of dialogue. So if we take this, we can see that I have created two parameters called NTI space name, NTI space number. I've created a schedule where I see the space name, space number provided by Revit. And then I have added my properties as well. As you can see, some of it have already information, but some does not. So if you go into the floor plan, and again, you can see the same sort of component to selecting elements. We can filter the elements, so it's maybe one specific type that we need to write information to. Then I choose which parameter from the space I want information from. So now I'm taking the name and where I want to place this information. I want to place it on the space name, and I can do multiple. So now I want to the number as well. On the right, you are able to configure it how it should find the space. There is different ways to do this. You can do it by elevation, so it moves this registration point up or down. You can also do it by facing orientation, maybe for sockets in walls. You can also do it by proximity, which is where we actually are sending out this sort of calculation point in every direction we can to find the nearest space. So in this scenario, just write 500 here to make sure it can find the nearest space for air terminals. I can save this configuration up on the right and call it, give it some name I want. So when I come back, I have this configuration ready. As you can see, I already had one in the model. Good, all said and done. I can click run. And then I get this sort of overview afterwards, where I have a summary of all the successful tasks and some of the components that wasn't successful. Then I can dive maybe a bit deeper into why they are not successful. Maybe there is missing a space or something like that. So if you go back to the schedule, then you can see now we have a lot more information written to the elements. And this information is again very important for doing analysis of the components and also for the construction. So what have you seen? You've seen a lot of different key features in our MEP, and you have seen different kind of way to utilizing it. We are, as Chris also said, doing this with knowledge of how you guys are doing it, how you guys are working today, and some of the key functionality you are asking for. And of course, our aim is to deliver as much value for you guys as possible. So if now you have seen this and you think, okay, maybe I can save a few hours by this, then I just want to sort of highlight that this actually is a tool that have a very easy return of investment. If you just saw you saved a couple of hours by utilizing some of this functionality, then actually NTI FOR REVIT MEP pays for itself. Now I'll hand it over to you, Chris.
Yeah, thank you very much, Andreas. That's a lot of information about the tools. I think we've shown some tools that can have in a really early stage help you with designing your building and help you to avoid a lot of clashes in the end of the building. So I think they are quite good tools. And also we have some tools to do the calculation directly in your model, not in spreadsheets, and also to provide information from specific data to another accessory. So I think this is the first release of the NTI for REVIT MEP. There are much more new tools that are coming from. We are still investigation with our clients. What are the missing features they have nowadays in REVIT? If you have any more questions, maybe what the tools mean for your own organization, or you have specific other workflows, maybe we also have another feature that is not related to MEP, but in general in Revit, maybe we can also help you with that. So just contact your contact person from NTI, and we are likely to help you with all your challenges to have. Probably we have the solutions for that. We have a Q&A. We have some questions. I think we have 6 questions in total. Is it okay with you that I read them, Andreas, that you can answer them?
Yeah, please do.
Okay. First questions. You show some configurations from some template. Is that saved in your model, or is it user-based?
So we have chosen that all of the configuration you can do both in this save task you saw are done with the space data accessories, but also with the heating and airflow calculations. All these templates and tasks is saved on the model. So you are able as a company to do some kind of standardization. So in your Revit templates, you can make sure that there are already predefined setups. So it's easy for you to get started on the project, and you have some standardization to sort of lift the quality of your projects.
Great, thank you. Another question from Kevin. Are any of these calculations for both air and heating based on properly validation standards, such as CIPSE? I don't know, CIPSE guides?
No, I actually don't know CIPSE as well, but I must say all of these calculations right now we have is pretty simple, as you saw. They are based on predefined geometrical values. So it's again based on the information we of course have in the Revit model. So either it's a volume, which is something we extract from the model as well, or the person loads, or square meters of course as well. If you want to dive a bit deeper into some of the standards that maybe you want to sort of extend the tool with, then we will gladly have a discussion of it and dive a bit deeper into how we can support maybe that specific kind of standards.
Great. I hope that answers your question, Kevin. Another one, you did already some pilot projects with this NTI for REVIT MEP tools. How fast are you seeing the adoption of these tools?
Yeah, so we are, as Chris said, we just launched these last month, and they are pretty new to the market in the state they are in right now. As Chris also mentioned, this is tools that is in rapid growth, and we continuously are adding new functionality to them. So this is the first version of it. I think I want to sort of highlight is that we, as you hopefully saw, have used a lot of information, sort of a lot of time and energy on making sure that this tool is easy for the also really easy to get onboarded, easy to implement, easy for the user to understand. So when you are sort of saying now we want to invest in having this as a part of our organization, then it is easy to implement because of the easy onboarding. I also want to mention that we have used a lot of time and energy on creating a well-documented help guide. So making sure that when you are taking the step to make this part of your organization, then it's an easy one for you. So it's easy to get focused on and easy to get started using it.
Okay, thank you. There's some questions a little bit the same. There are the NTI for REVIT MEP mainly for ventilation. In the beginning, we show some ventilation tools. I think in the end, we also show them with other disciplines. But do we also have tools for the electrical engineers?
You're right, Chris. Right now, we have mainly focusing on some of these routing functionality with the docs. But as you said, we are in the space data to accessory and the mass relation. We have tools that will help with the electrician and the plumbing and the piping and so on. It's still an area where we know that we want to invest more in, and we want to extend the functionality. So this is also a thing I want to mention, that this tool is built and designed a lot based on your request as customers. So if there are specific functionality that you maybe are asking for regarding, again, electrical, plumbing, and so, please reach out to us. We are eager to get to know you and get to know your problems and figure out how to solve them. Yeah.
Okay. Another one about the heating capacity. Does it also include the heating of the windows, because you lost some heat from the windows?
Yeah. So right now, as you saw, it is pretty simple calculation we have. We have already in the pipeline for doing a more extensive calculation based on the actual model regarding windows, external walls, and so. So not yet, but it is something we have planned for.
Okay. You work with spaces in your model. Can you also do it with the rooms? But maybe that affect the ceiling above the room. So maybe there are some accessories that are above the ceiling, of course. Can you also do it with rooms? Or do you need spaces?
So right now, regarding if you take first of all I don't know if they related to the airflow or heating calculations, they are sort of based on spaces, because we want to save these results on these parameters that are already embedded on spaces. Regarding the space data to accessory, so to understand the question correctly, as you said, the space is often bounded by the ceilings, but that is where we see the space data to accessory give a lot of value, because we are actually able to sort of find these components that are placed above the ceiling by moving the localization point, so getting that information assigned. But they are primarily built upon the prerequisite that we have spaces in the model, of course. If we see a request for actually being able to do this for rooms, then I will, again, as before, gladly have the discussion and find out how and how it should work.
Thank you. Last one. Sometimes in the architect model there are also spaces, but if they send you an IFC file, do you have any suggestions to get the space, or to delete them or combine them in your own Revit model?
So yeah, there is so probably many of you know some pains regarding when we have to have the IFC model into the Revit model and get all this information aligned. I don't have the quick fix or some easy way to do it. I don't know if you, Chris, know any way to do it. But I will again.
It's the way how Revit works.
Exactly.
Of course, it's always better to work with Revit files linked in your model. But that's how Revit works. Unfortunately.
Yeah.
Okay, I think we get most of the questions. I think I get a little bit more, but I think they're a little bit the same as we had before. Yeah, if you have any questions after this, just reach out, just send us an email, and we would like to answer that questions for you, or contact your NTI contact persons about the NTI for Revit MEP tools. In the end, you will get a survey. We would like to fill it in to help us out. If you have any suggestions about the NTI for Revit features, also reach out in the survey. It will help us a lot. And I would thank everybody. It's 45 minutes now. This webinar. I will thank everybody to be presented in this webinar, and hope to see you again.
Yeah, thank you.